Hi guys, how are you? Huge welcome back to the channel. George here, and in today's video we're going to take a look at 10 dress watches under $100. In my opinion, even if you are or not into watch collecting, I still think you should own a dress watch or a more elegant looking piece for those suit and tie, more formal situations where you're required to have a more elegant looking piece on your wrist. Even if you don't have a lot of money to spend or don't want to spend a lot of money for a dress watch, that's what we're here to address today, and I have 10 great options for you guys to check out. As usual, I'll leave all the relevant links in the description box below, and I hope you enjoy the choices that I have for you guys. Let's get started. So the first watch that we're going to look at today is the Pagani PD1654, and it comes in at $37 from AliExpress. When it comes to watches from AliExpress, especially homage watches, Pagani design is the brand that is often mentioned. This Pagani brings the cocktail time look at a fraction of the cost. Apart from the classy dial that stands out on this one, you'll get a decent amount of AR coating covering the mineral crystal, all within the dress watch measurements. 40mm diameter, 20mm lug width, and a thickness of 10.5mm. This watch has a couple of aces in its sleeve. It features a Seiko VH65 movement. It's a hybrid mechanical movement that gives you 4 ticks per second compared to the actual 1 per second that you would get with a regular quartz, eliminating that whole issue of the second hand not hitting the marker. It actually leaves you wondering how much money they actually make on these watches, and also how much does it actually cost to produce? So the second watch that we have on the list, guys, is another watch from AliExpress, and is the Satrking AM 0184, and it comes in at $49 or $51 depending on whatever you want to go for, either a strap or metal bracelet. And when this watch first hit YouTube, it was an instant hit. This is another one of those AliExpress stars, as I like to call it, where you get so much for so little. This watch's party piece is the hacking and hand-winding high-beat 28,800 vibrations per hour movement, which Satrking claim it's an in-house movement. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but the value proposition here is remarkable. Most of you that buy watches from AliExpress probably have heard of this. The case has a diameter of 40mm, 20mm lug width, and a little over 11mm thick. So it's not actually even a thick watch considering the in-house movement. The dial is covered with a sapphire crystal, as we learn to expect from these watches, and the high polish finish on the case kind of completes the entire package. The only questionable thing here is the reliability of the movement. And I used to own one of these guys for like almost 2 years, and it worked perfectly. But I guess even at this price point, when you think about it, you can just go and buy another one if it breaks down. And also, I wanted to go for this watch because I wanted to give the Cadison C1032, I think it is, the remarkable star. I wanted to give that guy a break, so I wanted to find another gem from AliExpress. So the third watch that we have, guys, on the list is the Casio EDIFICE, I have to read this one off, EFE-110D-1AVUEF. So you're probably wondering why I have an EDIFICE on a dress watch list. The EDIFICE lineup is designed to be the less sporty, more day-to-day use option from Casio, and this watch definitely falls into that category. This could easily be the only watch you ever need, period. So it comes on a metal bracelet. You can actually find it at different dial options and different case sizes, but the one that I went for here is on the smaller side. So you can have it on a metal bracelet for more formal occasions, and something like a leather or a NATO for everything else. It's a bit on the smaller side, like I said. Personally, that's how I like my watches. I have a 6.3-inch wrist. So it has a 35mm case, a thickness of just 9mm, and a lug width of 18mm. It has a screw down crown that gives it a water resistance of 100 meters. And being a Casio, I don't have any doubts that you're covered in that case when it comes to water resistance. And the beautiful thing about this guy is that it's actually a very, very nice finished watch. Even has a screw down case back, and I featured this in my previous, I think it was the top 10 watches I have under $100. The value proposition here is amazing, and like I mentioned in my previous videos, EDIFICE is starting to bring more smaller watches for more smaller wrists. The fourth watch that we have on the list, guys, is the Guanqin GJ 16034, and this one comes at $60. This watch was one of the first watches that kind of kickstarted the whole watch trade from GearBest and AliExpress. This watch was one of the first of many to come from the websites, and this one came in just before the whole homage watch trend started to kind of kick in. I still think that to this day this is phenomenally good value for money, and this was one of the first watches that features the NH36 movement and the sapphire and a sapphire crystal under $60. Of course, you know, Guanqin is not the most desirable name on the dial, but it is an original design and quite attractive in my opinion. And it still falls within the dress watch proportions, with a case diameter of 40mm, lug width of 20mm, and a thickness of just 11mm. I honestly think you just cannot go wrong with it. I owned one of these things for I think about 2.5 years ago, and it was amazing. And just to see it in your hand, and as soon as you like start to know a bit more about watches, you kind of realize how much value it is to have, especially at those prices, to get something like that. And like I said, I wonder how much money they're making on these watches. Nevertheless, cracking value for money. And the fifth watch that we have on the list, guys, is another Casio, and this is the Casio model number MTS-100-1AVEF, and this one comes in at $71. If the previous Casio, which was an EDIFICE, had too much color for you guys, this one is a bit more on the simpler side, but still has enough to deserve a spot on the list. Still elegant design, but still this one has a sapphire crystal covering the dial from a Casio. And I think Casio knows what to throw in even at these entry-level watches just to make it appealing enough for you to buy even at $71. Paired, like I said, with a sapphire crystal, this one also has a 10-year battery, which if you look at it, the average servicing term for a entry-level automatic watch is 10 years. So there you go, fact. If you were to compare with the Guanqin that we had a look at earlier on. But anyway, the dimensions for the case are 41mm with a 20mm lug width and super thin again at 9mm. And this one has a 50 meters water resistance, just in case if you feel adventurous and even want to jump in the pool when you go out to dinner, whatever restaurant you go at. Casio has you covered, even at $71, and if it's still a dress watch, Casio has you covered, guys. Number 6, and I have a Seiko 5, I had to have one. And this is the model number SNXS75, and this one comes in at $80. And no affordable list of any style, in my opinion, would be complete without a Seiko 5. And the reason why I chose this one is because, in my opinion, the grey dial in combination with the golden accents on the hands, indices, and logo just gives this a timeless retro look. Honestly, this is just, in my opinion, it's just amazing to look at. And the reason alone, that reason alone is enough, in my opinion, just to make it on the list. You know, I don't think you need me to talk about Seiko's heritage and Seiko 5s. In terms of specs, you get the usual, nothing special. We have the non-hacking and hand-winding 7S26 and the Hardix crystal curving the dial as usual. And the case dimension is 37mm, a thickness of 12mm and 18mm lug width. And this watch is, I think in my opinion, is about more than specs. It's for what it stands for, and it's enough. And everybody that gets into watches and, you know, has started a watch collection, even if you have watches that cost 50 to 100 to whatever, you have bought a Seiko 5. You have had to have one, and you have heard of Seiko 5s. And that's the beauty of this watch. It doesn't matter how much it costs, you'll always have one. And actually, I have my Seiko 5, which is the SNKL23, and somebody said that this is the $75 watch that looks like $1 million, and rightly so. I'll leave a link to in the description box where you can find this. They have jumped up in price. I bought mine for around $80 a while ago, secondhand, but it's an amazing piece, and this is what I'm talking about. That's why you need to have a Seiko 5, and if you haven't had one, get one and try it. You'll be in love. At number 7, guys, we have the Seiko SGG 713P1, and this one comes in at $92. This is how I see a quartz-powered Seiko 5 with none of the drawbacks. It actually costs a little less than the Seiko 5 than actually most of the Seiko 5s. But, you know, probably that's because quartz movements cost significantly less to manufacture and produce, or mass produce. It's a gorgeous little watch that does really well for itself. The reason that I'm actually saying this is because it looks And it's a Seiko 5 with actually none of the drawbacks, and it looks like a Seiko 5 in so many ways. But unlike the Seiko 5, you get a sapphire crystal and 100 meters water resistance. And unlike the Seiko 5, you also get a solid link bracelet. The end links are hollow, but then again, no watch is perfect. So it still has the 37mm case, crazy thin again at 88mm, and a lug width of just 18mm. I think overall it's a good choice for $92, even if you don't want a Seiko 5, or if you want something that looks like a Seiko 5 and it's quartz power because you're not into automatic movements, it's absolutely fine. You have one, it's 100 meters of water resistance. Sorry, you cannot go wrong with it. The 8th watch that we have on the list, guys, we're almost getting there, is the Citizen NH8350-08A, and this one comes in at $97. I featured this watch on one of my previous videos before as a good value proposition, and weirdly enough, I still think that this watch doesn't get the recognition it deserves. And like I said in my previous video, the texture dial, it just screams class and elegance. And I love the way the Roman numerals are a bit kind of stretched just to make the dial feel a bit fuller, but still keeping a minimalist design. The movement powering this is an automatic Miota 8200 series that hand winds but doesn't hack, which I think, you know, again, out of the two, I'll have the hand winding and it's not an issue. And it has a case diameter of 40mm, a thickness of 11mm, and a lug width of 20mm. I honestly think it's the best looking watch that we looked at so far. It's hardlex covering the dial, it's not sapphire, but again, you're not going to go, it's a formal, it's meant to go in a more formal situations. You're not going to go banging your watch against a heater or something, and it's going to scratch a little bit easier, but that's okay. Great looking watch, great looking piece. Check it out. They're a bit harder to find, but if I found it, you can find it too. I'll put links in the description box below. At number 9, guys, we have the Orient Bambino 2nd generation version 2, and this one comes in at $97. This is what I meant when I said you'll get to see some old faces. And in my opinion, with the Orient Bambino, there is no wrong or right option. It's just a matter of preference. I went for the blue one because it's within the $100 budget and it's not a bad choice by any means. It's still a great choice when you're building a collection or if you just want a good all-rounder. The domed mineral crystal is likely to get scratched very easily, but then again, for the price, you can't beat it. Case size of 41mm and a 21mm lug width and a thickness of 12mm. With that domed mineral crystal. The thing that might put some people off is the 21mm lug width, but then again, you go on AliExpress and Amazon and you're bound to find a lot of options for 21mm straps. It's powered by an in-house hacking and hand winding automatic movement with around 40 hours of power reserve, and also unlike some Seiko 5 that I mentioned, Seiko 5s that I mentioned earlier on, these ones haven't jumped in price, and that's why they're still good watches even today. Even if you want to get into watches or just want to buy one watch to kind of get you going casual and dress, it's an amazing choice, and it's a good option. At number 10, guys, we have, and last actually, we have the Seiko SUP 880, and this one comes in at $100 on the head. And this is by far the most elegant looking watch here, and this is often called the Seiko tank because it's obviously inspired by the Cartier tank, which has been around unchanged for close to actually 100 years now. It's not an homage watch, but it brings the look and the style to a more affordable package, and this is the type of watch that it actually feels at home in a formal environment, to a formal event, to a suit and tie kind of situation. The dimensions of the case are 32 by 28.5, and it's crazy thin due to that solar power movement at 6.1mm. And the beautiful pinstripe dial is covered by a hardlex crystal. But for the kind of environment that this watch is aimed for, like I said, it's absolutely fine with a hardlex crystal. I don't mind. You know, it's okay. It's a dress watch. You're not going to take it to a rough environment. So that was it, guys. Those are my 10 dress watches under $100. If I missed anything or if you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And actually do let me know what is your favorite dress watch that you have in your collection right now, or what is your favorite dress watch that you want to get in the future. If you enjoy the content, I really appreciate it if you click a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. And thank you very, very much for listening to me talk about watches for as long as I did, if you made it so far in the video. And until next time, guys, Be safe, love watches, wash your hands, and I will see you again. Thanks a million.